Hi everyone. I wanted to make a quick video about writing about literature. It seems like a lot of you are struggling with exactly how to do this and what it means to write about a piece of literature. Now, this isn't really surprising if you've never been taught to write about literature, and everybody comes from a different background, so some of you may have been taught in depth in high school or in other college classes, whereas other people haven't. So I just want to quickly kind of go over what is expected of you when you answer one of these options. So the first thing that I want to say is that you really want to focus on the piece of literature that you are writing. Now, your minimum word requirement for the discussion board post is 250 words. The average post that I get in one of these classes is usually about 600 words. You really are going to need way more than that. A post of 300 words generally will not cover these topics in enough depth. So what you really want to focus on is quite a few hundred words that relate directly to the literature that you read. I want to point out that a lot of the literature that you're reading, you're going to be given biographical information about the author. Do not focus on the biographical information. Even in option 1, which is biographical connections, you'll see that it says provide some very brief biological information about the author, and then answer the following questions. Now, the questions are about the literature, not about the biography that you read. So every discussion board that you do in this class must focus directly on a piece of literature that was assigned for the class. So please keep that in mind. Every sentence that you're writing, every part of your post that you're writing, and this goes for the essays too, ask yourself, does this relate to the literature? Because where you bring in your biographical connections, it's going to be how it relates to the literature. When you bring in themes, it's going to be how these themes relate to the literature that you read. When you do a close reading and you're kind of just looking at the feelings and the thoughts behind it, it's going to be to the literature that you read. When you bring in scholarly research or historical connections, these are going to be only in support of what you are saying about the literature. So ideally, you're going to want to come up with a thesis statement. It doesn't have to be a fancy 3-part thesis statement like you're going to use in your essays, but you want to come up with a thesis statement that kind of takes a stance and then support it throughout. So that stance will have to do with whichever option that you're taking and if you're bringing in outside research. But when you bring in outside research, it's only to support what you're saying about the literature. So if you don't know how to write a thesis statement, please let me know, and I'll give you some of the resources that I have and I use in my English 101 and 110 classes. You should not be taking this class if you haven't taken English 101 or 110. These are both prerequisites for this class, and you really should not be in this class if you haven't been taught to write an essay and taught to write a thesis statement. But it may have been many years for some of you if you took this in another college or anything like that, and you may need a refresher, and I am really more than happy to give you a refresher on how to write a thesis statement. And that's really mainly what my teaching focus is on, is writing. So I'm happy to do that. Now, another thing I want to mention is that really your first sentence of your responses should let me know what piece of literature you're writing about, the title of that piece of literature, and the author of the literature. I don't want to read a whole paragraph or 2 paragraphs or, an entire post that says, he said this or he thinks that, and I'm like, well, I don't know who he is. I don't know what piece of literature you're writing about, and I really need that information from you in the beginning right away. Now, you're not required to use sources in your work here. However, if you do support your discussion posts with sources and with research, I would like to see it cited in MLA format. If your major uses APA, I'm not concerned on the boards, on the forums if you use APA, but I do want to see it cited properly. I want to see in-text citations and a work cited. So you don't have to use quotes to support your work, but if you use quotes, you do want to cite them properly. I can also give you resources on that if you need help with that. Most students who are taking this class, you guys are finishing up at least your associate's level degree, and so you should know how to cite sources by now. You should know how to write thesis statement by now. But like I said, I'm more than happy to help you if you need a little help on this. So to recap, I'm looking for fairly in-depth responses here that, as I've said, 600 is about the average number of words that I get for posts in this class. It's not unusual to have 1,000 or 1,500 words to fully really answer the question. So I really want to see you go into some depth with these posts. I want to see you focus on the literature, and I'm not seeing a lot of that here. So really focus on the literature. Say the author's name, say the title of the piece in the first sentence that you're writing about. Then, as you're writing about the literature, you're going to pick one of your options, and you're either, you're going to support it, the literature, what you're saying about the literature in your thesis, with a biographical connection or a theme, or close reading, or scholarly research, or historical connections. But these will never be the focus of your post. The focus of your post is going to be the literature. This will be the lens that you're looking at the literature through. So something like this would be, say if you watch the movie Moana, and you might write about Moana and her adventures, and you may talk about something about her life and how, her father was overbearing. This is a biographical connection, but you're still going to focus on the storyline of Moana, or the themes in the literature, the mythology, a close reading, scholarly research. This is what scholars say about the story of Moana. Historical connections. These are the connections, to this story, but you're focusing on, I have children, obviously, as you can tell, because that was where my mind went originally. But you will mainly be talking about the literature and the story and only supporting it. You're only going to be supporting your discussion on the literature with one of these options. So I hope that I've cleared things up. If you want help with thesis statements or with citation styles, please let me know. I'm more than happy to help you with that. I'm sorry if the quality of this video is not great. The kids have gotten me sick again, and I am actually going to go get tested for COVID tomorrow, but I've had to pause the video multiple times so I could cough. And so please let me know if you have any questions, and that is what I have to say about this. So let me know if you have questions. Thanks.